Welcome to the Special Education Inner Circle podcast. I'm your host, Catherine Witcher, and we're going to talk about a real problem in special education. And it's not something that's new, and it's not something, quite honestly, that's probably going to change anytime soon. But it is something that we need to be aware of if you don't want to fall victim to it. And that's special education burnout for both parents and teachers. So I've been in the field for over 20 years professionally. Most of you guys know I have a brother with Down syndrome, and I became a special education teacher, and I was teaching by day, I was coaching by night, and here I am over 2 decades later, still doing what I do in special education to help parents and teachers and teams build IEPs that work. And I'm excited about it. I am hopeful and find joy. And it's kind of unheard of in our industry to be here over 2 decades later and be positive. In fact, I opened up my email over the last couple of days and I am inundated with newsletters that I choose to be subscribed to, that I am, staying up to date of what's happening in our special education industry. And they're written by, definitely leaders in our field and in different areas. And they're not all written by kind of the gurus. This is about really being connected to what's happening in the trenches in special education. And I can only read them for a little bit, and then I have to either file them away or delete them, because it is overwhelming the amount of time that most people spend in the negative of special education. I'm giving you permission right now. If you feel like you need permission, you have permission to stop indulging in the negative of special education, because it doesn't have to be that way. In the newsletters that I was reading, I was, hearing all the statistics about 7,000 students in Chicago public schools that were denied services, and now they're going to get mandatory compensatory education. And that makes parents and teachers think, well, is my school district doing okay? Like, if that many students didn't get their services, am I okay? And, you didn't have that gut feeling before you read the article. And I don't want you to not be aware of it, but I don't want it to impact you in a way that it adds levels of stress that you didn't have before you read that article. Or I was reading another article all about the seclusion rooms, which has been a big issue in Illinois. And yeah, I get the concerns, and it's a real issue about how seclusion rooms have negatively impacted students. I understand that. I also understand the other side of the story of trying to help a child feel safe and needing to find some better solutions than maybe what was out there. But if you read the articles and you get wrapped up in the negative, you get scared to send your child to school, or teachers get scared to maybe implement strategies that their district has put into place. Now, I'm not saying, do anything that goes against your gut instinct, that you're not comfortable with. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is it puts this cloud over questioning every decision, from a parent putting the child on the bus in the morning, from a teacher, working with her staff and finding plans that work for the students in their classroom. And it really puts a pressure that I've never seen in other fields. I talk to my friends that work in other fields, and I tell them what's happening, and I say, how do you do this? And it's because, yes, those are issues, but that's not where you have to sit in your information kind of overload in that negative place. I was reading another newsletter that talked about behavior plans and how you have to make sure that you have these manifestation of behavior meetings to make sure that when your child gets kicked out of school for the behaviors that are due to their disabilities, that, just on and on and on. So this article went on and on about that topic. And the tone that was taken was very forceful for parents to make sure that their child never gets kicked out of school for the wrong reason. Absolutely. I don't want your child removed from a school environment for the wrong reason. I also don't need to present that information in a way that makes you put on your boxing gloves and get ready to go to fight for a fight that might not even be there right now. Don't even get me started on the Facebook groups that happen when it comes to special needs community or special education teachers and what's happening, it becomes a melting pot for complaints, for talking about due process, for talking about filing state complaints, and all the negative comes out there. And a lot of times you feel like you need to be part of the Facebook group because there's some good information there and you're learning and you don't know what you don't know, right? Yes, you need to be aware of some of the things that are going wrong for other students might be impacting your family or your students and you didn't know about, something being an issue, but now you do because you saw that in a Facebook group and it made you think. That's great if it makes you think, but if it brings you down to the place of you don't like your job or you're thinking about not sending your child to school because you are reading all the negative things that happen and you're losing hope because you're feeding your thoughts with all the negative things, it's time for you to really start finding the joy in special education. And I'm not talking about the type of articles that are like, person with Down syndrome crowned homecoming king, and it's a feel-good moment for a half a second. I'm talking about the real joy that comes from a child who could not independently put on their shoes, and now they can, and that's building upon all these independent life skills that they need so they can live their best life. I'm talking about the child that struggled for 2 years to finally nail down some core vocabulary on their assistive technology device, and now they're able to ask for things that they never could ask for before. So finding those stories is so important if you're going to work towards avoiding the burnout because it's real. So whether you are in burnout or you can feel yourself going that direction, or you're thinking, yeah, I don't want to ever get there because I'm not there right now, I've got a couple of things that you can do that I know work. I know they work. I do them myself. Again, I'm a special needs sibling, so I live the family life. I'm a special education professional, so I'm right there with everyone. And this can actually be a very exciting time in special education where we have all of this technology, all this knowledge, all these tools, everything at our fingertips, where we really can start making a difference at a whole different level, at a whole different pace, but we can't get stuck in the place where burnout and this dark cloud takes over our ability to help special education move forward. So the first thing is that I want to make sure that you set some time limits. And you don't have to set the timer on your phone with that. Just be aware of, I go through and I read the newsletter when I'm getting information from maybe sources that are not so positive, but I know that I want their information, and I'll read through the headlines. And if it's something that I go, yeah, I really need to know some more of those details, I file it away and I look for it later so it doesn't impact my whole day. And then when I do have time to go through and go, okay, what's really happening on this hot topic in special education, I'm in the right mindset where I'm in information gathering rather than letting that information kind of overtake my everyday life. All right. You also have to find the wins in your own special education journey and focus on those. Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing all the time and start really looking at what's going good in your child's day, in your student's day, and make sure you say thank you to the people who are helping make that happen. So teachers, make sure that you're thanking your colleagues. Make sure that you're thanking the parents. Parents, make sure that you're thanking the team for what is happening. Find those wins every day. I mean, everybody knows that it's proven, use a gratitude journal and you start getting in the habit of finding gratitude, you feel better. So we think about that in the terms of life, but we actually need to specifically think about that in the way of special education, because this really can suck us in and take over an entire day or week or month Or for some of you guys, it's been years. It's been years since you have found the hope in special education. So limiting your time and not taking in the negative every day, and then making sure that you're finding the wins and saying thank you are two really important things. The other thing that you can do that will help not just you, but others is please check on each other. A lot of times we're keeping this negative, overwhelming feeling to ourselves when it comes to, you know what, my child's having a bad school year. Or the teachers are feeling like I'm doing a bad job. If you're feeling that way, that means that other parents that you know and other teachers that you know are feeling that way too. Reach out and check on somebody. And even if you have to say in the way of, you know what, this semester, not so good. How are you doing? And have a conversation that doesn't focus on the negative. Make sure to be mindful and find some positives in your conversation. But the real goal is to make sure that you're not alone in getting through some of these struggles. That's where you need to find that positive support. So that's step number 4, is that you need to find the positive support. And there's 2 places that I have personally for you. So that's the special education inner circle. That's for parents, teachers, admins, therapists, anybody who sits at the IEP table who is tired of doing this alone. And you don't maybe have those community connections that others might have in a bigger city. You might not have the time or the ability to get out of the house and go make those connections. So this is 100% online, the Special Education Inner Circle. So you can find that at specialedinnercircle.com. That's where you come in and I get to connect with you and help you through those struggles, help you find the wins, help you create more wins, and really find that momentum forward in your special education experience. There are also master IEP coaches who are available, and you can become a master IEP coach. So if you're listening to this and you're like, this isn't me, but I know so many people, or this is me and I want to change it and I want to help others, that's where you hop on over to masteriepcoach.com. Master IEP coaches, they're the idea bringers, the solution finders. They really help bring a team together even through the most difficult situations. They don't get stuck in the negative, but they help you move forward from the negative into the positive. Or if things are going well, they'll help you make good even better. So it's so important to know that not only you don't have to do this alone, you shouldn't be doing this alone, because this caregiver and teacher burnout is real. And it happens at some point for all of us where we feel like, really, is this really what's happening and what's going on? And if you don't have these systems and structures set up to support you through those struggling days, then those days tend to add up. And I don't want that to happen for you. So please make sure, here's the 4 points. Limit your time, meaning if you just read through things, browse through it, decide if it's something that you need to save, if it's an email newsletter or an article or something that you're seeing and you need to read that information, you can always read things later. You don't have to ruin your day with the negative every day when you're a special needs parent, special education teacher. You can limit that time. Number 2 is find the wins in your own journey and make sure you thank the people who are helping with those wins. I want to make sure that you're reaching out to each other, because everyone will be struggling at some point and everybody has some struggles happening right now. You're not alone. Connect. Go ahead and kind of share those stories of the negativity, but keep in mind that you're going to find the positive by the end of that conversation. And number 4, surround yourself with people who get it and can move you forward. And you can find people just like that at specialedinnercircle.com and masteriepcoach.com. All right, everybody, thank you for being here at the Special Education Inner Circle podcast. I cannot wait to connect with you next time.